Welcome back to the Segment 26 podcast, episode 6. Before we kick this thing off, subscribe, like, and comment. Help us get this into the algorithm so we can take over so y'all can get some real fan analysis. Just real quick, talk about the Arkansas game. Not really gonna go in depth about it, but the major thing that I took or remember from that game is the third quarter. Is when I don't know if they just had a bomb ass pep talk in the locker room. It just came out, or we just became soft.
Yeah, I think it was a combination of what we talked about before. They got families too.
Yeah, true.
Nobody wants to be embarrassed in front of their family.
Yeah, you're right.
And they came out that second half. You know, we looked comfortable. We looked like we were, satisfied with just doing enough. And Arkansas came out and put it on us. They had the block punt. It's all coming back to me now. They blocked we had a botch punt.
Yep. Oh,
there was a series of events that led to our collapse.
That was the botch punt that started it all.
Was it that, or did we have a turnover? Or was it the punt that started it all?
I think it was the punt, man.
And we're going to talk about that, about just miscues, because the Tennessee game had miscues that just looked like an average amateur team.
Yep.
But the start of the third quarter in the Arkansas game, I feel like has been, if you sum up this year so far, everything that's wrong with Alabama football, the penalties, the little mistakes, like in the Tennessee game, the punt, which we're talking about, touching the ball.
Mm-hmm.
In the Arkansas game, all that happened in one quarter. It was a microcosm of what our season has halfway been, of just mistakes that have potentially cost us the game.
Yep.
We always turn on ourselves. Our greatest enemy, our greatest opponent is Alabama football. As well as we play, we always sometimes get in our own way and we start to stumble based on like silly, small things that can be corrected.
Yep.
Or like your mind not being aware. And so the Arkansas game, that second half where we had the just mistakes on special teams, giving up big plays, not stopping the run. I mean, that third quarter was just like a waterfall of just Arkansas showing that they could, hang with us and beat us. We pulled it out, but,
Of course, great teams do, but, I mean, it's just, like you said, all the miscues, the mistakes that can be corrected.
Yeah.
But, I mean, now I'm starting to see what Coach Saban talks about, mental errors and just not being mentally there, which, I mean, you can see it. It's starting to, and I keep hearing people talk about is the NIL and all this other stuff. I don't think so. I just think that these kids, not giving them, like, making excuses for them, but, I mean, at some point, I mean, it's like a lot of pressure, and I'm sure they're thinking, or they're trying not to make a mistake, and they end up making a mistake, and then it just boom, boom, boom. Just like Coach Saban says, just do your job.
Do your job.
That's it.
That's all you gotta do. And, coming to Alabama, listen, it's gonna be a lot of pressure. It's always expected for you to win when you're at Alabama. A loss feels like the world is ending, or a close game. At one point, it felt like the world was gonna end.
Yep.
That we should not, as well as we recruit, no game should be close, especially to like a team like Arkansas. Arkansas, they recruit well, but they get a lot of transfer players. And they've had good teams in the past with Felix Jones. What was that big running back they had back in the day that played for the Cowboys? Dang, boy, I slipped my mind. But I know they went. They've had some good Arkansas teams in the past. One of my favorite players of all time, before I was like really indoctrinated into Alabama football, Arkansas had a quarterback named Matt Jones who ended up playing receiver for the Jaguars.
Oh, wow.
I'm telling you this because I always liked the way he played quarterback, because when he would snap the ball, he always seemed so cool and calm when he like dropped back. I'll show you highlights later. But I just love seeing him play quarterback. Arkansas has had good teams. I'm saying that to say that Alabama, as well as we recruit, I feel like sometimes our games are just too tight with people who are, I don't want to say subpar, but just like mid-level programs. You have low-level, mid-level, and then you have those that are like high-level or elite teams, or elite programs at least, with a strong brand. Not just, I'll just say nationally, since it's college football, American college football. But we have a strong brand nationally, and as well as we recruit, especially in the Saban era, we should not be having close games like that. And the debacle in the third quarter, like I said, it just seemed like everything that went wrong in the Texas game, like we talked about the Tennessee game, even the Texas A&M game, even with a second string quarterback coming in, like that has been the Achilles heel for our team this year. And as good as Jefferson is for Arkansas, and they got a really good defense too. They came up, just thinking back on it, if I can remember correctly, like they came up with some big stops and made plays on defense. And I think we managed to shut down Hazelwood, that transfer from Oklahoma. So they didn't have, like, throughout the entire game, they didn't have really big plays. But that third quarter, they seemed like, man, lights out. But fourth quarter, we ended up,
getting it back together,
steadying the ship and taking over. That's another thing. Alabama has been good for that this year. We've seen like a lot of just careless, unthoughtful mistakes, but then somehow, like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, we look super elite when we get in the hole, or when we feel like we're behind, or we just trying to, play the back and forth game. That fourth quarter looked amazing, I thought, for us. And so,
Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
That's what I feel like. That's what I feel like we've been this year.
Perfect.
But I feel like if we can just consistently play like that fourth quarter team that we saw in the fourth quarter against Arkansas, we'll be right on track to be as good as we want to be. And I think everybody can see that. I do think everybody can see it, man. Go ahead.
What I hear people talking about and see people talking about on message boards is it had nothing to do with the talent, our players. It's more about the play calling and the scheme. And bro, this is what I see. And I didn't play football, so I mean maybe there's more to it, maybe I don't know. But from what I see that he has a game plan. He has these group of plays that he's gonna call.
Who you talking about?
Bill O'Brien.
Okay, yeah.
And if this play works, this is what we're going with. And then, that didn't work. All right, let's go on to the next one. And then it just puts us in a hole. And we just keep shooting ourselves and especially this year, because along with the play or the plays being stopped, when you think they should work, we got penalties on top of that. And then we're not converting on third downs, and they're just, like you said, they make us look like an average team. And I think it had not everything to do with play calling and scheme and all that, but I think it has to do with a lot. That has a lot to do with it. And it's just setting these players up for failure.
Yeah, and I think standing on Bill O'Brien, especially like with the Arkansas game, and like we said, we'll talk about the Tennessee game, with how, this is in regards to Bill O'Brien and all the games this season. It's how I feel like the style of play, he's like Jimbo Fisher to me. I don't know if you watched the game last night.
I did.
Jimbo Fisher's the problem at Texas A&M, and I'm just gonna say it.
Yep.
The pro style, we have a pro style offense. That's what we have. I don't feel like the pro style offense, it's effective if you have high level talent, like the Jameis Winston when they won a national championship. Or as somewhat, it looks good now when we have Bryce Young at quarterback, because he can pick up, he reads the defense fast. It requires you to be somewhat
smart, an elite quarterback.
Yeah, an elite quarterback, but you got to be a thinker too. You got to be cerebral.
Yep.
Like your mind has to be able to grasp like concepts, making a read. Like you just can't eyeball somebody and think that's what I'm doing.
Yep.
It's like what they say, looking through your progressions. That's
Yep.
that's what his type of offense requires. What I think gets us in trouble is, especially offensively, why Sarkisian offense works so well, because it's not one, he's on the sideline and you looking at him. When they do the count, if they see something on the defense, they looking to the sideline. He's signaling what to run. Bill O'Brien and they like that. He's in the box,
Yeah.
like a lot of pro coordinators are. And what we do is, it's all on Bryce Young. He got to make the read. He got to make the change of the play call. He got to make the channel line. And outside of, this is a credit to Bryce, he's been doing a good job in that type of offense. But you also got to have the receivers to be able to pick up and say, okay, this route is it's designed to be a 10-yard out, but I see how the DB's playing. I'm gonna switch it up and go like maybe like a 14-yard out, or if he's giving me a little bit more cushion, I'll take a 14 to get a little bit more yards. Or just like, you gotta be smart all the way around.
Yep.
And I feel like with Sarkisian, it was just smoother. Outside of just a scheme, it was matchup driven. It was, I'm gonna design you to get open, or it was just different. It wasn't the approach. It didn't require a lot of thinking. That sounds idiotic, or like Sarkisian was dumbing it down. But I think for college athletes, sometimes you gotta dumb it down.
Yeah.
You gotta simplify it to make your best athletes be the best they can be.
Yeah,
And I feel like the defense, not the defense, but the offense and O'Brien, however simple it looks, I feel like it's complicated for no reason. In the sense of, you might have the same formation, and you saw this in the Arkansas game. You might have the same formation, but there's different routes and different blocking assignments ran out of it. I think that's a problem with the offensive line. While we're better than what we were last year, but I feel like we're not dominant. Like we're not manhandling the trenches like we should. And when you have like such, and the details matter, but when the offense is just so reliant on like the little things, like being so, if you get so focused on the detail, which is good, I feel like a lot of stuff starts to get out of whack.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just, make it simple is what I'm trying to say. Make the offense simple. Make it fun. That's what you're saying at Tennessee right now. I feel like players will want to go to Tennessee because it looks fun.
Yeah.
It looks simple. The formation, like when we texted last night, it's up tempo. But if you look at everything, it don't look that complicated.
Nope.
It looks, all right, I'm going to drop back. It look like backyard football. I'm going to drop back. The O-line has their assignments, but it's just nothing. It's nothing to it like that.
Tennessee spreads you out, and they force your your DBs and your safeties and all that to do their job.
Mm-hmm.
And if you and we get exposed, I don't want to say exposed, because I don't want to keep saying.
No, that's the right word.
But every year, bro,
Yeah.
that is one of our weakest areas.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that they don't have the ability to do it, but they don't have the ability to do it consistently.
Yep.
And it showed in the Tennessee game. Hyatt got 5 touchdowns, bro.
Mm-hmm.
5. The same receiver. That's not supposed to happen to Bama. We supposed to be doing that to everybody else, because we pick up on that matchup and we expose that. But we're not doing that. We're just it's